Welcome back for Betting 2.0 Next Gen Betting Businesses. I am with OpenBet and I'm joined by Cathryn Lai, the Chief Commercial Officer, and Jordan Levin, the Chief Executive Officer. Good to have you both in the studio. Jordan, it's your returning trip to us. It's good to have you back.
It's great to be here again.
And you've been in London for a few days, I hear. Yeah? How's it going?
Great. Good. London's a great town and it's good to be here, and it's good to see ice fully back. I think last year was more of like a partially back situation, so this year it's fully back to the way that we remember it from years ago.
So when you joined us in the studio last year, Endeavour was in the process of acquiring OpenBet. Now that deal is completed, how much has changed?
So on the one hand, a lot has changed, and on the other hand, I would say nothing has changed. And what I mean by the nothing, OpenBet has a long history, 27 years being a premium provider of sportsbook solutions and other related technology and product solutions, and that hasn't changed. We continue to deliver for our customers and provide solutions for what we're known for. At the same time, the door has been kicked open for a lot of new opportunities with Endeavour around sort of the whole world of media, sports, and entertainment that they allow us to tap into. So it's great to be part of Endeavour. It's a different twist that we can provide to the betting and gaming industry, being part of a media and brand giant like Endeavour. But at the same time, we continue to focus and do what we do best, which is deliver solutions for our premium clients.
And considering the range of products and brands owned by Endeavour, what have you done so far to leverage the assets?
Yeah, so we've got a bunch of things in process, and we've already got a great use case that's out there with UFC. So for those of you not familiar, if you're not familiar, one of the premium assets that Endeavour owns is UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, which is one of the fastest growing sports leagues and really the inventor of MMA and other combat sports. So we've been able to already work with our friends at UFC and some of our friends within the IMG group to develop a sort of specialized UFC betting solution. I call it kind of like a store within a store, where you have sort of a whole event center surrounding it, specialty betting options for consumers. And then we've launched it just recently with DraftKings in the US and with a couple of operators in Europe as well, and have a queue of other operators waiting for it. And then on top of that, we'll leverage other sort of data rights that, data and IP that Endeavour either owns or has licensed access to, and build similar types of compelling solutions around them.
And ahead of the acquisition closing, you acquired Multi-Builder, which follows deals for Don Best and Sportscast. Talk us through what capabilities this brings to the business.
Yeah. So absolutely. So yeah, if you look at OpenBet, 5 years ago, it was really about providing a core technology solution and doing that very, very well. We've continued to do that, but we've also sort of branched out into providing some other value-added solutions to our customers. And if you look at Multi-Builder, and before that, as you mentioned, Sportcast and Don Best, the sort of continuous factor that runs through all of those is around providing pricing and other what we call sports content types of solutions. So Multi-Builder continues us on that journey, as Don Best and Sportcast has, and to the point where we're now not only a leading provider of technology, but we think also a leading provider of pricing and other sports content solutions. Ultimately, content is king in almost any industry, and for us it's important to be able to have access to content, like I talked about with the UFC example. That's an example of content, and then some of these examples that we're talking about now with Don Best, Sportcast, and Multi-Builder continue us on that journey.
So you spoke of content there. It seems that there's a focus on building new content for your portfolio. How important are these additional capabilities for your clients? And is there a focus among operators on finding ways to differentiate themselves from the competition?
Absolutely. I mean, as Jordan said, content is king in the sports betting space. And I think I look as an example, we've got the big Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Between the OpenBet pricing and products segment, we're offering 500 plus different markets available to for people to bet, and that's really a differentiator for operators, right? Being able to offer the most amount of different bet types. We're even making bets on the coin flip, how long the national anthem is going to go. So I mean, I think really content is the differentiator in helping operators really kind of engage players and kind of go after the market.
And we're now approaching 5 years since the repeal of PASPA. Over this time, how have US customer expectations evolved?
Yeah, I would say actually, like when PASPA first was repealed, it was really a push to get live in every state. I mean, I think operators' focus was how can you be live day one? I think now that the majority of the states have already legislated, it's starting to slow down a little bit, and it's kind of giving everyone the breathing room to really think about innovation, think about how we can continue to deliver more value to the customers, and really kind of branch out on that product segmentation piece, right? So it's not let's just get live and have an app ready. It's how do we evolve that experience for the player.
And do you think we're seeing a distinct US sportsbook emerge? And how does that differ from the product in other markets?
Yeah, I mean, I think the US player and bettor is definitely evolving, right? I mean, it's very new, I guess, relative to other markets. I think one example that we've seen is that like in-play betting, right? I mean, that accounts for about 40% of US betting. If you look in other markets that are more mature, it's high 50s, of percentage of bets. So I think it's kind of the evolution of how that's going to evolve. Trying to get those players kind of engaged more into betting, not just ahead of the game, but throughout the game. I think there's a whole big tide of fan engagement. How does sports betting actually engage them into watching the game and being part of it, and really kind of creating that customer experience for them.
So what sort of forces do you think will evolve the US sports betting product further? For either of you.
What was the question again?
What sort of forces do you think will evolve the US sports product, the sports betting product further?
Yeah, I think Cathryn said it best. I mean, there's a ongoing focus. There had been a focus for customers or for operators to really just get live and hoover up as much as many users as they possibly could. I think the battleground and the frontier is moving more towards content and fan engagement, we call it, player-facing solutions. So that's really where you look at any type of e-commerce industry. That's ultimately where things evolve to. And at the same time you do that, and this is where OpenBet can add a lot of value across the whole thing. You have to make sure that your platform is resilient. You have to make sure that you're doing all these marketing activities and loading in all this content on top of a foundation, or I like use a house analogy, that can actually take the pressure. And that's where we really stand tall.
Also look at the U.S. market, there's a lot of brick and mortar casinos too. So the idea of how you can leverage omni-channel, kind of giving a customer the experience of being able to bet online and going to their home casino. There's a whole play in that, and I think we're seeing a lot of convergence between streaming and media. So I think there's a lot of evolution of how that's going to really enhance the customer experience.
And tell us about business progress in Canada. How's that going?
You want to take that one?
Go ahead.
Canada, yeah. Canada's a really interesting market for us. It's sort of, there's two markets in Canada. There's Ontario, which operates more like a US state. It's open, anybody that wants to get a license can get licensed. And we focus on that and we serve that, we serve Ontario province. But then the rest of Canada is all operated through government-sponsored monopolies, who not only are responsible for operating sports betting and digital gaming, but every type of gambling in the province, from brick and mortar casinos to VLT machines in the bars to bingo halls in some of the provinces, and lotteries as well. So our focus is primarily on that second group of customers, where we deliver sort of full turnkey solutions. And to be honest, we don't even really think of our position with them as being a vendor or a supplier. It's more of a partnership. How can we go in and really operate their business with them together to provide compelling solutions for players in those provinces in a very responsible way. So these are not-for-profit enterprises, so responsible gaming becomes a very important part for those operators as well, and that's something we take extremely seriously.
And how does a lottery sportsbook differ from a commercial offering?
So I'd say, at its core, it's providing sports betting solutions. But at the same time, you have maybe some different nuances where you're able to build in hooks that can cross-sell, sort of a lottery consumer into a sports betting consumer. That would be one. From a marketing perspective, oftentimes, a lottery might be, again, I'm drawing broad brushstrokes here. It differs by country or in the case of Canada, province. But sometimes there's different types of marketing, that's allowed, the types of tools that you can turn on or turn off. And oftentimes, lotteries will have, I would say, a bigger focus on, using partners and vendors to support their drive forward.
And how is OpenBet leveraging its heritage in working with lotteries to maintain its leading position in iLottery?
I think I said it before around responsible gaming. So you think about, responsible gaming. It's obviously an important thing in the industry generally. I mean, now in my 17th year in the industry, I've sort of seen it all in terms of responsible gaming, those who do it right, what happens in certain markets when, operator communities are not, embracing responsible gaming in a proactive way. So I would say, lotteries, and we call them WLAs because they're part of sort of a World Lottery Association, membership, are really at the forefront of thinking about, responsible gaming solutions. And it's not just saying responsible gaming, it's investing in, early detection, software solutions, artificial intelligence, and so on.
Yeah, and I would also add to that, I mean, we talk about our heritage. We've been primarily very successful in this, kind of tier one space. So when we look at our technology stack, I mean, we're able to support, a statewide or countrywide lottery. I think that's kind of something that I think that we've been able to leverage kind of in our history, being able to support at a large scale amount of, volume with our customers.
Thank you, Cathryn. Thank you, Jordan. Both enjoyed the show. It was lovely to have you in our studio.
Thank you for having us.
Great, thank you. Thanks for having us.
So up next, World Series of Politics Live. We've got Brendan Bussman, Managing Partner of B Global Advisors, Matthew Cullen, SVP from iGaming and Sports Bet Parks. We've got Robin Harrison, Head of B2B Content of Clarion Gaming, in the studio having a chat. Join us for that.